Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Great having you here. Thank you for stopping by. It is a great day here. I'm hoping the same weather goes to you on your weekend no matter where you are. Hope you enjoy your watches. Hope you get to wear different pieces in your collection. Maybe the pieces you haven't picked up for a while, but no matter what you wear, what you on your wrist, I'm hoping you're having a blast. Okay guys, now with that out of the way, I just want to take my opportunity today to go back to the Tuna family that I have in my collection. As you guys been following me for a while, in the last few videos I've done an unboxing, my reviews in terms of design, and the reason why I then sold that watch was the new generation of Babytuna. I think the model name is SRP639, with the newly designed, very modernized Babytuna with the platoon hands. It was a fantastic watch. The reason why I bought that watch was genuinely because I want to add another tuna in my collection, and also did a sort of explain why when I sold that watch to the next one of my subscribers, and I'm believing he's having a great fun of the watch. I hope the best for him. Now, I just want to go back to another watch that in my collection, which I think is gonna, be a bit of very informative video for you again, for my subscribers that is new to the tuna games or new to the Babytuna history and the Babytuna collection. Before you stepping in to the, the MM300 Ultimate Tuna. So today I want to devote this time in the video to talk about the first generation of Babytuna. Now I'm going to divide my video maybe into three parts. Part number one, I'm going to talk about the watch on its own. This is a great watch. There's a lot to talk about it, to be honest, guys. I've been eyeing on this watch for a while. It was on my list, and I found it the seller. Of course, I bought it with a reasonable cost. There's a lot of sellers asking for a lot of money for this one. The second part of the video, I'm gonna really try to compare and put them together in terms of a couple watches that I think where this watch borrow the spirit of tuna, the spirit of monster, bit of context of the watch. And the third part of the video, I'm just gonna talk about it, guys. If you're on the fence about buying this Babytuna, why I think you should, or you maybe wanted to buy it, what kind of prices you want to pay, and why I think this tuna would be iconic in terms of overall tuna family, iconic diverse family in the long term to come. Okay, that's just my personal opinion. Of course, you can have yours. Okay, now first of all, let's talk about this watch. The model name of this Babytuna is the SRP639. So SRP639, the nickname for this tuna by our community is the YellowFin tuna. Of course, naturally, because the yellow between the yellow touches between 12 to 15 under the bezel, the yellow marked mini hand, as well as the second hand. Guys, let me just get this watch going. Okay, now we talk about the movements. Fundamentally, the movements on this watch is the 4R36. So we can hack and hand wind the movements. Just let me get it right for you guys. Okay, I just want to do some I just want to push it back and maybe start winding it, and then I just want to get the hands position out of the way so you guys can have a detailed look under the dial, which I truly believe is the highlight of the watch. Of course, goes really well with the iconic design overall. Okay, so I'm gonna get my early hand and mini hand into the 10 and 2 position, as we know. That sort of opens up the whole dial. There you go, beautiful, guys. So I'm gonna screw it back in. We'll talk about the movement. As we know, guys, it is workhorse. Okay, very reliable. There's gotta be millions of them produced. On the micro brands, you can find them under the NH34 or 35. Even the watches was produced 10-12 years ago. They're using the same movements. So the 4R movements still carry on today. A legendary movement, really. That's what it is. Very reliable, of course, in terms of specs and the time accuracy standpoint. 4R is all over the places, but in my personal opinion, 4R is almost good as 6R. Maybe I'm just being lucky. When it comes to time accuracy of this YellowFin tuna, is literally on the spot. It's running at COSC within that about seconds a day, which is my best forearm performances. So great to have this piece with that astonishing movement. This watch in particular, I think, was produced a couple years back, 2020, 2021. I couldn't remember exactly, but that's how I sort of found it out based on the serial number. Guys, you know what I'm talking about, right? So you can get your serial number, and you can look on the website. This website, if you enter the movements number and the serial number, the watch will come up. On the original packaging of the the SRP639, or let's just call this the YellowFin Tuna, guys. The original band that comes with the Tuna is a standard silicone or rubber strap, 22 millimeters lug width. As you know, matches up really well, very muscular. Now, from my perspective, I decided I want to have all my watches on bracelet. It was a decision. And of course, I try to match up with different style to my different watches. But when it comes to Tuna, because how close they are in terms of the lug width towards the case, so any straight link fitted end link fitted bracelet, they look fantastic. So this bracelet, of course, was purchased from Uncle Seiko. It was the most cost effective. I think it was $69. Of course, I bought it during the Christmas of that 25% sale. $69 to buy it right now with the $15 shipping. Okay, that's the price you're looking right now. So, guys, if you already have a YellowFin Tuna, you're not sure what bracelet to buy, but you wanted to get one, you want to see what it looks like, that's what it looks like. Really solid bracelet. Okay, so I think this solid bracelet of the oyster style is a perfect match for my YellowFin Tuna. Now let's talk about the lug with all of this YellowFin. As you guys can see, the 2 to 8 of diameter, about 47. We'll just call it 47, 47.1. So 47 millimeter watch, right, guys? This is a beast. In terms of lug, just let me put on this side. Make sure we get a pretty accurate reading. It's just over 50, almost 51 millimeter. So from a dimension standpoint, this is probably our biggest watch in the collection, or one of the biggest. Of course, when the dimension are presented in such a large manner, the watch has got to be wearing small, because that's the magic of Seiko iconic divers. When they are big, but when you're actually wearing it, it's not as big. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna put on my wrist, just do a wrist shot to give you guys the visual aspect of the first generation of Babytuna YellowFin on my 7-inch wrist. Sorry to interrupt, I'm wearing my beautiful turtle today. The black turtle, iconic. I'm loving this watch, of course, with the Z199 Uncle Seiko bracelet. So we're gonna put it here for a little rest just for now. And we're gonna put this YellowFin Tuna. So guys, again, if you guys are on the fence about this watch, you will see the present in a very short time that it speaks volumes. Okay, so this is on my 7-inch wrist. I'm gonna put it so from a far away distance, and that's how it looks in the short distance and close to the screen. Okay, so when you're wearing the watch, this is how it looks. Of course, I think the bracelet was a little bit tighter than what I normally have, because we had it's just the temperature literally just pick up quite a bit lately. So you know, the sweat, the expansion of your wrist, that all changes, and of course the micro adjustments of the Uncle Seiko bracelet comes always very helpful, very handy. Excuse me, guys. So this is how it looks. Very muscular, and that yellow pops out of the dial, excellent manner, because I believe this watch is truly iconic in its design, and that yellow touch of the watch really gives that name YellowFin Tuna a true justice. It is a beautiful watch. It is large, and it doesn't wear small on your wrist, simply because the construction of the metal, the construction of the shroud, everything is just all out beast mode, guys. Even I'm holding a much more expensive, sorry, I supposed to do this comparison later on, but I'm just taking it into the camera. Even a 3 or 4 times more expensive of SBBN Tuna. When you're touching, of course you can. Well, this I just picked this up actually. You can see the thickness of the shroud is much thicker than on the SBBN. There you go. That's a very a good detail that I actually forgot to pick up even in my own collection of the last few months. But when you have this watch in your hand, you feel like you're having a massive beast on your wrist. Almost make it feel like a weapon, feel like a piece of rock. So that's what the watch really gives me in terms of impression when you have it on the wrist. When it comes to designs, of course, we'll cover the comparison later on, but you guys can see we have a beautiful, very heavy-duty metal shroud with fantastic finishing. Guys, this is what I like about Seiko. This watch used to cost about $250. Of course, we're talking about years ago, right? When Rob covers it, that's a brand new. Right? I'll talk about prices later on, but when it comes to case, fit, finishing, the machinery, the edges, that brushing, it is just magnificent, guys. Seriously, I had other tobacco brands. I won't name any brands, but in terms of fit finishing for even a $300-400 watch, this really beats the smash them in terms of refinery. Look at that line. Just want to give you guys another close up. Look at that transition between I would say there's a coated bezel and that shroud, and of course we have the attached locks to it. The finishing, the layer, the dynamics of it is truly amazing. The crown size, I believe, is a 7mm. Just let me get it right, guys. Okay, so 6.7mm crown, large crown, fits the watch really well. Of course, if the crown size is 6 or 5, of course, millimeters, then it wouldn't be a good match. Okay, so very good nerdy on the crown. I've liked it how they've done the designs on the crown. The nerding's large and bold and clear, very easy to grip. Excellent design on that perspective. Of course, we have a little bit of case back protrude out at the back, so that's gonna I think it's very common thing to see on all 4-hour watches. So when you're wearing it, sorry, I'm just gonna put it back again from a side perspective. It doesn't protrude out quite a bit simply because how wide the whole thing is. So it really covers that, and on the lock, and it flows down well. If you look at that from an angle, it does look it's protrude out a little bit more, but again, that's the wrist shot on my 7-inch wrist. I think it looks the business. On any summer day, when you're wearing short, of course, if you are a muscular person, or you are not less muscular person, I think it's gonna look both fine. Okay, of course, if you're a big dude, then this watch is gonna be a perfect match for you. Okay, there you go. So that's the first part of the watch when it comes to dimensions. Now, when it comes to the design of the dial, as you guys can see, we do a little bit comparison later on when we talk about the spirits of the monster, the spirits of the tuna. I think it's done a fantastic job. The reason why I sold the SRP639, the new generation Babytuna, is not because that watch was badly designed. It's just because after having experiences such as the Generation 1 Tuna, I can't relate to that new generation with the spirit of what I wanted. Is that spirits of boldness, that spirits of not really caring about what other collectors saying about me. The designers designed me to have his place on this planet. I'm gonna go through my journey without any fear. This is what this watch gives me in terms of vibe. Okay. So when it comes to, I just go first. We'll talk about the shroud design that borrowed from a real Tuna. The dial design is fantastic. Okay, it's fantastic. The indices are beautifully done. Very iconic, sort of monster-shaped indices. And if you look at the inner numbers between, of course, 05, 10, all the way up to 55. I think this is borrowed from the design of the monsters. Again, of course, not in the latest Generation 4 monsters, or not in the Generation 2 monsters, but it's actually from the Generation 1 monsters. And some of the Seiko 5 baby monsters has those numbers at each indices as well. The whole handset is beautifully done. I think with that yellow popping out, it is just a match made in heaven. Again, born from the spirit of the monster. Fantastically executed. The whole recipe of this watch really came together when it comes in a package like this, which explains a lot. The SRP639, the Babytuna, is one of the most sort of cult following when it comes to baby tunas. If you Google or if you YouTube Babytuna Seiko, this is probably the top couple of videos that come up. Many of our favorite YouTube channels, of course, cover them. Random Rods, as you name it. He loves this watch, of course. For me, I think for now, I'm not even thinking about selling it or trading it to any other watches. Okay, so this is a beautiful watch, wears very much on your wrist, and you do feel you have a solid piece of machinery and mechanics in your collection that can stand throughout the test of times. Wonderful watch. Okay, now, so that's the part one of the watch. We'll talk about dimension and the things that I see based on this watch on its own. The second part of the video I like to do, first of all, I just want to give you a visual aspect for some of the new incomers that into this hobby, they're looking at buying, which is something that I love a lot. This beautiful, we call them the baby solar tuna, as you know. Guys, if you see my last video, I'm gonna bring this watch, excuse me, into the Seiko boutique, just to have a chat with them in terms of that very strange damage on my bezel. If you haven't checked that video out, it's the last video previous to this. Go check that out. I will report on the due course, of course, but I'm just gonna bring them together. Look at the size difference, guys. Pretty much from the same position. I want to make sure they're coming from together from the bottom. Look at that. This is a 44mm watch, so this is really only about less than 10% larger. But this feels like it's a half. It feels like, you know, it's like 25-30% larger. From the side profile, of course, this is automatic. This is of course solar. Both are fantastic serving purposes. But if you guys ever want to see the comparison between those two in terms of sizes, because you're not sure which one to get, should you get one of those iconic that is, you know, the rumor saying this being discontinued, I'm pretty sure the whole old generation of Babytuna, they will be discontinued. Seiko is not making those bizarre designs no more. They're not making them. They're really not. Everything they make now is very fancy, it's very refined, which is great. But it doesn't mean they shouldn't pay respect and a lot of admiration for the old watchmakers with those kind of old designs. Fantastic designs, okay? But so that's just a direct comparison in terms of sizes. This is a bigger dude for sure. Okay, now fantastic. Let's go into the comparing side of things. Okay, the first thing what I want to do, actually, let's do this. Let's put the monster. Of course, we know where the spirit is borrowed from. I'm just gonna get the clasps all open up so we can put them together. So we're gonna put monster on the left, and we're gonna put the real tuna next to it. Okay, guys. So now you have the monster. Okay, this is not a baby monster. This is what a monster is. And you have a tuna, MM300 tuna, not a solo tuna. They're all great, but this is the tuna that people are getting. Of course, this is with the sapphire crystal. This is the new generation, model number SPPN 043. We'll call it blue now. So hopefully this visual aspect by putting them together gives you really the clear logics of how the Babytuna was designed. This watch was not existed before. This watch was made 10-12 years ago. The design of the tuna has been gone for 30, 40, 50 years. Don't worry about it, right? So this watch came 6-7 years ago. They're about 2015, I reckon, right? So when the designer had in mind how they can combine those two beautiful recipes together and make a true, you know what I want to call this? Personally, I understand why it's called Babytuna, because when it came out, the community sort of, you know, the monster was on its own. The community wanted people to understand this is a baby step of the tuna journey. You're buying a baby first, and then that's gonna lure in. Then you buy a real tuna, right? I can understand that logic, but for my design, paying tribute to what they've done, they borrowed the two very successful recipe, and then they made a monster tuna. This is not just a baby tuna, guys. This is a monster tuna. They gave the most beautiful aspects of the tuna, which is being aggressive, bold, and they also borrowed that reliability, that sort of heavy duty, heavy as a rock, rolly as a solid as a stone, and they made that out. See, guys, if you follow the logic of the watchmakers on that manner, you would make a great statement, because you're saying, guys, job well done, because that's what you guys wanted to achieve, and you guys achieved it, and we appreciate it. That's why it's in our collection. See, nothing Seiko or brands or watchmakers, those people in the businesses, their whole family, their livelihood, their career, of course, their salary, their kids, their whole family is depending on whether the company is doing well or not. And I think the watchmaker really did a fantastic job on getting the best two in their catalog and making a hell monster tuna out of it. So from a designing perspective, which is my second part of the video, hopefully all those visual comparison, and we'll talk about the design key of the indices and hands and all that, and the tuna shroud, hopefully everything came together for you guys now. So if you guys still on the fence about this watch, I understand there are quite a few YouTubers talk about this YellowFin, but in my opinion, the way that I described in the last 20 minutes, I don't think anyone has done it. Because that's the way that I collect my watches. I don't want to just collect a piece of stainless steel material. I don't want to just collect a watch because it was selling or because people were buying. I want to collect a watch so I can get a peace of mind and that inspiration from the maker of the watch. From them. I'm pretty sure some of the staff or in production line, the front line, the managers, mid-tiers, execution team, designer, they're sure to work on this project. Oh, they did catch up together to make sure they are communicating that they're all doing really well for the brand. And they did, guys, okay? So hopefully this video has been, very informative so far and giving you all the details and logics that you need if you're still on the fence about this, because it is a great iconic watch. Now lastly, on the last part of the video, I'd like to talk about what do I see this in terms of this watch will do if you wanted to buy one, or if you have one, you will think about selling one. Now, I bought this watch about 6 months ago for, how much did I bought it for? About 285, under $300 US, okay? Of course, depending on the seller, depending on the condition of the watch can go a lot cheaper if the watch is all beat up. Of course, with the hard-as crystal, and guys treating this as steady beater, maybe working a different line of jobs that very physical intense with a lot of things and possibility of beating this watch around. Understandable. There's a lot of beat-up watches like this, but I bought this almost brand new, untouched. Of course, with the box, with the paper, as you guys know, that's the way I like to collect the watches. Okay, so here's what I think: if you can buy conditions such as this, very similar to mine, if not better than mine. If you can see a seller selling this for under $300, don't even think. Transfer the money. Of course, you gotta trust the person, right? Don't get scammed. Do it. Just do it. Don't ever think about it. Under 300, it gets my 10 out of 10 recommendation. Anyone's asking for more than 500, don't bother, because I don't think anyone will pay 500 for this. That's my personal opinion. Of course you can't, right? I'm not saying that you can't. I won't. Between 300 to 400, that's where the negotiation happens. Hopefully you guys can find a seller selling a pieces like this, well cared, almost mint new condition. Between that 350 to 450, and then in the end you will land somewhere down 380, 400. Then you know what, if you can keep it, I don't think by the time you realize that in your collection journey, we're talking about maybe in another 5-10 years, we're looking at 2030, of course 2035, Seiko's still gonna be relevant. Watches, wristwatches, still gonna be relevant. Iconic divers is something people still follows. Then I can't guarantee, but I don't think you will lose a dime. So if you get this between 350 to 450, I think you'll be wearing this watch for free for the next 10 years. Granted, if you're looking after it, okay? Of course, guys, that's just my 2 cents. You can have your own view. But then my 2 cents about the first generation of Babytuna YellowFin SRP639. Okay, guys? Hopefully I've covered all my thoughts and all things that you wanted and all things that you had in mind. If there's any additional questions you want to know, you want to chat about, of course, just let's chat about ourselves. Put in the comments. I'll join the discussion. If you like this watch and if you're a big fan of this watch, tell us why. Put in the comments below as well. We're building a community. Nothing fancy, but it's just full of love, guys. Okay, so with that out of the way, I'm hoping you guys have a fantastic weekend no matter where you are. And you know what? I have no doubt I'll see you guys very shortly in the next video. Bye bye, guys.